It's important to know where you're going. It's important to know what your goals are. And I really have to tell you that I only ever had 2 goals in my, growing up in Australia in the 1970s and 80s. And that was, one, I wanted to travel because everybody who lives in Australia wants to get off the island at some point. And 2, I wanted to teach. So I really just, I wanted to teach, but I didn't really want to be a school teacher. So I landed in hospitality by default. It was really just something to do so I could do the first part, which was travel. There was an island that I wanted to work on, and other friends had worked on it on the Whitsundays and the Great Barrier Reef, and I thought, oh, that sounds like fun. I'm going to go and apply for a job there. And then for some reason I fell in love. Well, not for some reason, you all know why. It's such a great industry. And I think if you think about careers for women in particular, I don't think that there's a better industry, frankly. I think that you can have whatever you want and whatever you decide to do. I think it's an amazing industry for that. And the variety and the global aspect of it is really something that's not always the case in other industries. 25 years at Four Seasons and 9 different jobs. And now I'm in consulting. But if I think about when the main decisions that I made at each of those crossroads, I guess you would say, they were instinctive, but they also were based on having lots of friends and people that I admired. So I also have had sponsors and mentors all the way along my career. If you're starting out or if you're thinking about something different in the industry, to go and find a sponsor, I would say that it's an absolute necessity. What's the difference between a sponsor and a mentor, by the way? A mentor is someone who, you look for advice. They may or may not give it to you, but you're looking for, suggestions on what you might do, whereas a sponsor may not actually know you that well. A sponsor may be someone who just says, that person has something to offer and advocates for you at the table when the decisions are made. So in that regard, think about who you choose to be one or the other. So you want to have a sponsor who has authority within the organization that you're working in. For you all who are in the early parts of your careers, you can afford to make those sorts of, bold statements and take those risks, probably more so than, people who have a lot more, responsibilities, family, husbands, all those sorts of things. And so if you can early on, I would say get as much sort of broad experience as you can. One thing that does stand out for me is this idea from a lot of companies that they want people with global experience. They like people to have left the country that they're in somehow. And more companies are global. So if you can get some global experience, someone said to me, even if you're a nanny, after high school in France, go and be an au pair. But I think one of the things that really helped me was having that global experience, both from a regional level in Asia Pacific, and then when I took on the global role. I have had 25 years at one of the most amazing companies in the world, especially in hospitality. And I've had 9 different jobs in Four Seasons, but I've only ever worked for Four Seasons. And I think when I see someone like Kirsten this morning, she's gone from CBC, she was Alliance, right, and then CBC, and then Twitter, and now Dipley. I think that that's a better job, a better way to manage your career, is get different experience. I feel like I had different experience because I worked in different countries and I had different roles. But on paper, it looks like I've only had one company. And so think about that as you're thinking about your next move. It's not so bad to move around anymore. It used to be that staying in one company was good, but now I think people are looking for diversity of experiences. One of the things that I never did was stop, look, ask, and listen. I never slowed down. And when I look back over my career now, I think what I could have done better is to sometimes just, take a pause and look around me. I felt like everything just sort of, when you have children and you're moving countries and blah, 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 and you're working for a big organization and it's a global company and it's, conference calls all night and all morning. My former colleagues know what that's like, and I'm sure you do too. you don't stop. And so one thing I would say is stop and look around you. I think you should act your way into a new career, into the next level of your career, versus sit and think about it too much. So experiment and do versus plan, and then learn from your experiments. Learn from other companies. I also think it's good to write about what you believe in. You know, in this digital age, I think it's really important to have a point of view. You know, put something on your LinkedIn page about what you think about the world of work that you're working in. And I guess the reason I'm saying this is I've gone back to school, and it's like this whole other world of researchers out there that I missed. You know, it's been a long time since I've had to read and write papers, and I think it's a really good discipline to have, because it's like writing a report in the work that we do. It's like writing a proposal. I would suggest that if there's something that's interesting to you, research it and write about it and publish it, because people will know you by what you write.